So for our next session, it's on building the next big brand from disruptor to power player. For this session, we actually have a special guest doing the introduction. So Kai, would you do the honors?
Hi, I'm Kai, the new Olaplex virtual team member. Olaplex has seen incredible growth since its inception. Just last year, we reported 112% annual growth. But it's not just our innovative haircare products that have fueled the Olaplex growth story. It's also our use of technology, customer data, and insights that have helped us to propel our business forward. Today, we get to learn more about the Olaplex growth story from our CEO, JuE Wong. JuE leads all aspects of the Olaplex business and also serves on the Olaplex board. She joined Olaplex in 2020 with extensive experience in scaling businesses after serving as the global CEO of Moroccan Oil, president of Elizabeth Arden, and CEO of Strivectin. She's being interviewed by Emma Sandler, senior beauty and wellness reporter of Glossy. It's with great pleasure that I get to introduce JuE and Emma to the Commerce Next stage.
I think I can speak for all of us when I say that was very realistic and very impressive to think that that's an AI person. Yes. I was like, what? Oh my goodness.
Well, it's a synthesis of 110 of us at the end of last year and 140 of our Olaplex advocates. Mm-hmm. So you can see, because of that synthesis, it's not really you can't really tell what ethnicity, Kai is. And more importantly, if you look at the tone of voice and the accent and the pitch, it's a reflection of all of us because 77% of us are female and then the rest of us are male. And then there's about 16% of us who are ethnic minorities. So it's reflected in that. I'm super excited. I have had that idea for a bit, but technology wasn't available. And then technology became available in Q1 of 2022.
Yeah, I definitely want to explore more about Kai, but I think I want to take a step back here at first because often when you and I have talked beforehand, you've always talked about Olaplex in terms of being a tech company, but usually that's in the context of the bond-building hair products. But in that case, I'm really interested in knowing about the element of business-facing technology as well and what you're doing, in addition to Kai.
Sure. I think what is important for us is that very early on, because of my background as a commodities trader, I always gravitated to data. And so in less than a year in the role, I put together a transformation team. And what the transformation team does is to really look, I call them future hunters. So what they do is they look around corners, they look 5, 10 years ahead as to what trends are, what technology is. They look at search analytics, all of the reporting, and pull together where we can go, what we can do. And so we lean in heavily on data, we lean in heavily on technology as an enabler, and obviously our R&D. Of all the departments, we have 130 people now. 14 of us are in R&D, and that 14 people work on a hybrid in an operating lab on the Pfizer campus, which is on the border of New York and New Jersey, and it's a 10,000 square foot lab. If you think about it, a culture like us, where we have 130 and 14 of us are in R&D, we are truly putting our money where technology is.
Yeah, in terms of those future hunters, what are you and they seeing that's of most interest to you?
I think what is so interesting is that, like anything, the way technology, whether it's through AI and machine learning and helping us to be what I call more predictive, how do we personalize for our consumers? And ultimately, with all this data, we need to protect their privacy. It is becoming very clear that consumers want everything, but they need their data to be protected. The other thing that we are seeing is that they want it faster, quicker, and that it happens now. But at the same time, they want their results to be proven. Mm-hmm. So when it comes to consumer products, it's all about servicing rather than transacting. And we're seeing more and more of that through the data that we see and the community that we are engaging with.
Yeah, could you elaborate on both those points? Because I'm curious, like, since you became CEO of Olaplex, where you have really invested technology-wise, like, what are you specifically looking at?
So the first thing that we did as a company, and I joined in January of 2020, obviously nobody knew that it was going to be the world that it is. I remember March 17 when we were told we are all going to go into shelter in place. But by that time when I joined, the first two things that my team and I really focused on together with our investor owners, Advent International, was to restate or structure our website. Because at that time, our website was both for professional and consumer, and we really wanted to differentiate it. I always believe that our website is like opening up your home, right? When you invite someone to your home, you are proud of it. So the last thing I wanted was a website where no one could differentiate whether it was pro or whether it was consumer. The second thing I did with the team was we were already very strong on Instagram. And we had a large following. In fact, we are still the number one hair prestige brand on Instagram in terms of engagement, connection, and conversion. But we were only dabbling in TikTok. And I remember when I brought it up to the board, the question was, what is TikTok? Is it a clock? And I'm like, no, it's not. It's like, I think it's the next, not only the next big thing, it's now the big thing. So we focus on that. When I started, it was about hashtag 24 million views. And we just reported 2 weeks ago, we just broke 1 billion views. And what is unusual about that is none of our content is paid. Everything is user-generated. And that, I think, is the power of Olaplex. The community that we have is really long-lasting and engaging. And so one of the things I always share with brands is that don't think that success happens overnight. Even for Olaplex, it took us, 5 years to get to where we are today, and we are in our 8th year of history. So anyone who tells you it's an overnight success, they're painting a dream. It's not reality.
Yeah, tell us more about the community, because Olaplex is unique. It has multiple distribution channels, including consumers and professionals.
Yes, so our community is truly reflective of our synergistic and reinforcing omni-channel. Most people, when they talk about omni-channel, they are really managing channel conflict, right? When they go into one channel, they are losing sales in another channel. They're trying to appease some of the retailers or some of their consumers in another channel. In our case, we are in professional, which builds our credibility. We are in retail, which builds brand awareness. And then we are in direct-to-consumer, which gives us consumer insight with Olaplex.com, but it also provides convenience 24/7 for our consumers to find us whenever, wherever, and however they want to. The combination of these 3 channels gives us a flywheel for continued success and continued community building. Before you all say, it's so easy for you to say that, prove it that it works. So 35% of our consumers are referred to by the professional community to buy at brick and mortar and direct to consumer. And 50% of our direct to consumer actually buys at professional salons and in brick and mortar. So you can truly see that synergistic flywheel that I talked about.
Yeah, and talk to us more about Kai in this case too. I want to know its use cases, whether or not it's consumer facing and professional facing, all that good stuff.
So Kai is really going to be a scalable social media mouthpiece for us. If you think about it, it is ideal for us. Currently, a lot of our DMs and a lot of our interactions are still done live. All of us are involved in it. We have a team, but I try very hard once a month to be on DM for an entire day. And let me tell you, it is tiring. I mean, it's not for the faint-hearted, because if you repeat yourself, somebody's going to call you out and say, did you just cut and paste your answer to me? So you never want to be caught doing that. So with Kai, what we can do is we can use our virtual team member to announce any kind of monthly activations. We can also use machine learning to really download a lot of the data on shipping. So instead of using an impersonal chatbot, you can have Kai answering questions for you on your shipping, on your shipment, on your products. And then more importantly, because Kai is a reflection and a synthesis of all of us, you know that a piece of us, one 240th of us is actually addressing you. And people love human interaction. I'm sure that, we have all said, oh, we love the 2.5 years. Some of us are closeted introvert. And then as soon as we were let out, and be able to travel and be able to do what we normally would have done 2.5 years ago, we sort of said, what just happened? I love it.
Right. Now you mentioned, shipping with Kai. You mentioned consumer privacy earlier. I would love if you could kind of talk to us about the most impactful tech investments on Olaplex's back end.
Yes. So one of the things is that we have a really strong technology team and IT team that makes sure that we are not only protecting the information. Obviously, we operate also on the Shopify platform, which gives us even added security. But the number of training that our team gets to really ensure that we know not only to protect the company's data and the company's platform, but also in terms of consumer, we make sure that it is separated, that it's not all on one data service. And with that, we use the data through we have a hair diagnostic on our website, which helps us really understand what our consumers are looking for, but we do not take or farm individual data. We farm what we call cohort data, and then we look at attitudes rather than demographic segmentation. So when you look at attitude segmentation, you are able to really then ingratiate yourself and bring people along, because the thing I hate the most is all those age boxes, like, when you're young, it's right at the top, and then as you get older, it's like, where am I going to go?
That little rolly thing gets further and further away.
And I think demographic segmentation gives people the wrong impression. It doesn't mean that if you are 40 years old, you think differently from a 20. You could be very similar in terms of your attitude, but you still love to travel, you still love products, you love your adventures. But you could be a 30-year-old and be very much about, I want to keep to myself, I like privacy. And it doesn't make you old or young, it just makes you different. And there are groups of people and cohorts who think like you, and that's the difference. And that's what brings us together as a community.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on sort of personalized products or investing in that space, given what you were saying about not wanting to put people in certain buckets, but also are, offering a wide swath of different products now?
Yes, so personalization is very different from customization. So we are very clear, we can't customize for you because it's next to impossible unless we are very much bespoke, and that is not scalable. But we can personalize in what way? In that, if I understand regionally where you are, I understand your attitude, and these are all through data that is downloaded, sometimes from big data, not necessarily just only on our consumer, on our own Olaplex.com. There's big data, and if you can download that and understand exactly what is needed, whether it's by region, whether it's by attitude, whether it's by the areas that they live in, so that you understand whether it's hot water, soft water, lifestyle, all of that can help you really filter down and drill down to what might be needed. And it's a recommendation. And while you're honest with the people coming to you asking for personalization, they will trust you. That is much more authentic, rather than categorically say, you take something and these are like 100 products that you need to use. Because no one is going to use 100 products. Let's just be frank.
So as we zoom out to maybe the next 6 to 12 months, what are you looking at? What's interesting to you? What are you investing in as a company?
Yeah, so as a company, what is going to be important is we will continue to lean in on technology, both for our innovations and also for our operations. Because we continue to want to be lean, and we continue to want to disrupt. Because 8 years ago, when we told everybody we will work from home, everybody kind of looked at us like, nah, it's not going to last. At some point, you guys will need an office. 8 years later, we are still a remote working culture. It's the number one thing that our company and everybody, when they take a cultural survey, third time in the running, that is the number one thing they want to maintain. So we want to use technology to allow our organization to continue to give their best self without feeling compromised. The other thing is, we believe that in the innovation pipeline, it's not about getting it all filled up as an arsenal of formulations or finished formulas, but really getting the base right, and then whatever new technology that comes through that can really help us differentiate ourselves is where we want to lean in. So we work with research scientists, research institutes, biotech companies. We invest in certain biotech houses to really help us look further down the future. And then ultimately, if you look at something like a virtual teammate that we have, we want to continue to use that to look at virtual experience, whether it's in shopping, whether it's in diagnostic, or whether it's just even in communication. In today's world, what is so isolating is while we have all of this technology and we are constantly on social media platforms and we are interacting, we think we are interacting, we still feel very, very isolated. And I think having the ability to interface with real people, and even if it's a virtual teammate that is a synthesis of so many of us, can be a little bit of a comfort. I mean, I'm not going to solve, world depression, but I can do my little part.
Yeah. Do you think of things, especially, with coming out of COVID, with stores reopening, people getting back to their usual day-to-day lives, do you think disruption is a bit different? Because at some point, what was disruptive becomes status quo. So I'm wondering if you're thinking about the concept of disruption differently.
Yeah, that's a really good question. In fact, sometimes what goes round comes round again.
Exactly.
I just came back from Europe, and even in some of the really nice hotels, instead of your individual shampoo and amenities now, they're all giving you the large pump in the bathrooms because for eco-friendly reasons, for ESG reasons. We are also seeing a lot of people wanting to simplify things. So yes, I think ultimately what's going to happen is technology needs to be an enabler to help the people kind of look at what exactly can I benefit from it rather than let it lead you as the master. And I think ultimately what's going to happen with lifestyle is that the consumers will always win. It is going to be very difficult for brands to try to lead the effort and kind of say, this is what you need, think about that. I think when it comes to consumer products like beauty, it is going to be listening very carefully to what your consumers want, what are the technology available, and the intersection of one's needs and technology can be a very powerful play. And it takes a lot, it's not just the leadership, it's not just R&D, it's really everyone in the organization coming up with what exactly do we see ourselves. And that's what I'm so proud of in Olaplex, because what Olaplex is I am the CEO by reason of I need to be the chief conductor, but I'm not really leading everything. What my team does is that they give me the bandwidth to do more, and I give them the opportunity to do bigger and better. So the combination of all of us together really is an acceleration of exponential improvement.
Yeah, from the consumer standpoint, what are you, and maybe even your future hunters, like what are you kind of seeing that people are really looking for over the next several years, and where tech can help with that?
Yes, I think one of the things that is very sort of illuminating for us is that consumers sometimes don't even know what they want, because we do ask them, what is it that you're looking for?
Statement of if I asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses.
Right. But what they all do know is that they want more time, right? They want to, I mean, the classic kind of interview that I think it was Diane Sawyer or I can't remember, or Barbara Walters, sort of say, all the people that she interviewed, not one of them said that, I wish I spent more time at work. Everybody said, I wish I spent more time with my family.
Right.
So I believe that if we can help people have more time that they can do for themselves or have for themselves in terms of wellness, and that brands and companies do not look at just transaction, but experience in such a way that is long-lasting, that the community identifies with the brand on the basis that the brand is authentic and will be willing to kind of help me along as things. I mean, I've seen that happen with COVID, with our community of professionals. In 2020, 50% of our business was in pro. And when 50% of your business got shut down, it is actually very common for a company to then say, let's just resign ourselves to the fact that our business is going to go down by 50%. But instead, that year, our business grew by 87%. And the reason why is that we knew way ahead of time that it wasn't about us, that it was about the community that was hit the most by COVID. And what we did was we created programs. Our investor owners also gave us a relief fund that we were able to help with a little bit of whether it's a car payment, whether it's a rental payment, and without making them the poster child of benefits. You know, we kind of put it into their PayPal accounts. We didn't talk very much about it because at the end of the day, when you want to do good, you don't need the credit. The credit will come ultimately through what they have done to support us. So we went up 87% from 2020 to 2020, 2019 to 2020, and then 2020 to 2021, you just reported we were up 112%. And that is because of the benefits that we were able to generate from that goodwill.
Yeah. Now, we don't have much time left, but I would love to find out over the past 2-3 years, sort of because we've gone through this massive global disruption, what your biggest lessons learned that you've had or your biggest takeaways?
So my number one takeaway is still community. Going into this, business, I've always been in turnaround, and in turnaround, it was really about restructuring and knowing that you were breaking down communities as well, but it had to be done. Then when I was at Moroccan Oil, it was a growth in our brand, and Olaplex is the ultimate growth brand. And I think when you're in a growth brand situation, you don't try to reinvent television. You look back and you realize that you've got a core group of really strong individuals, because there's always that temptation for leadership to walk in and kind of say, let's just put my own handprint, body print, and footprint on everything. But I think what is so exciting for me to see is that the original team that is still with us today built a foundation that is so strong that is ready for a skyscraper. But I walked in and it was like a single-story building. So I became the beneficiary, but has nothing to do with me, has everything to do with the team. And so I always tell the team, they have made me more than what I thought I could ever be. And so for that, I am eternally grateful to the team.
Wonderful. JuE, thank you so much. It's
Absolutely.
been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you very much.